We're going to continue where the Alter Rebbe left off, even though it's a new chapter, chapter 52. So what was the Alter Rebbe saying yesterday? He says that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, or the Or Ein Sof rather, the light of God, the energy of God. The reason why he calls it light is because light it's easier. It's easier to explain light. Light gets shut on, shut off. So. And it's revealed, and it can peek through this, can peek through that. So the light of God is so the neshama of a person, the godly energy of that is manifest in a body is the same everywhere. It's headquartered in the head, in the brain, and from there it goes down to the rest of the body. Now, a lower dosage doesn't go down, but rather just how much is revealed. So it's not, the energy is the same. The question is, how much insulation do you have around the wire? So you can have, or how many screens do you have up to block the sun from coming in to the window? So, so it starts at the brain, and then it goes to each organ in our bodies, and each organ in our body is able to take its energy that it needs in order to do its function. And the energy, the soul level gives everything to everyone the same, but it's not revealed the same. So it starts in the brain, goes to the body, and reveals as necessary. So a toenail will get much less revelation, same energy, but less revelation than a kneecap. A kneecap will get less than a heart, right? That's what he's saying. So now he's going to take that, and he says, and that's the case with the world also, is the world gets this energy of God, and the question is, how much is revealed and how much is concealed? Now the Alter Rebbe continues, and he's going to talk about this concept of being headquartered in the brain first. And he says, and just like the neshama of the person, the main revelation is where? The main vitality and vibrancy is b'moichen, is in the brain. And then the rest of the organs receive, and the rest of the organs and the rest of the body, etc., receive their particular power that's give power to them by the revelation that it gets. He says so too with the regards to the world. So he says the main revelation, right? The main, where is the Or Ein Sof headquartered? He says that is headquartered, and that is melubash, it's manifest in Hashem's will, and in Hashem's chachma, in Hashem's bina das, in Hashem's wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. That's called moichen, intellect, intelligence. And that intelligence is then manifest in the Torah and the mitzvahs. And then when that is revealed, that's how the world exists. So it's in the brain. Think of the body. It's in the brain. And then when it leaves the brain and goes to the rest of the body, that's how the eye sees, and that's how the ear hears, and that's how the nose smells. And right. So too, it starts off in Hashem's brain, which is Torah and mitzvahs, right? And just like it manifests in the brain, it manifests in Hashem's brain, and they are enclosed in Torah and mitzvahs, which is, once again, Torah and godliness are one. And then it becomes revealed. This revelation is the source of existence, where every single world receives each individual life force in particular. So it comes from that marker, it comes from that source. Just like the organs of the body get it from one source, they get it from the brain. So too, the worlds get it from the brain, which is Torah mitzvahs. And he says it's just like how light comes from the sun, so to speak, right? So what are the rays? The rays are actually sun, right? The rays of the sun, just because it's moved away from the sun, it looks like independent. But rays are a diffused glimmer of the sun's essence, right? And likewise the body, right? The faculties of the organs of the body receive from the brain, diffusion from the brain, etc. And then the Alter Rebbe says that this revelation that causes vitality and vibrancy is called by a few names in the Kabbalah. It's called Alma Diskalia. It's called the world, the revealed world, or the world of revelation, or the world of manifestation. Right? So because, and as the Alter Rebbe explained, it's called Matronusa, it's called queen. It's called the nether mother, right? And it's also called Shekhinah. So it has four names. And the Alter Rebbe explains why is it called by the four names. So let's take the first name. The first name, he says, Alma Diskalia, the world of manifestation. He says is because it is the source of the beginning of the revelation, which, it's right where it's revealed from the source. So therefore it's known as the world of revelation. So let's hear that twice. So so it's the source, the beginning of the revelation of the light of the Ein Sof, which is drawn down, and it causes the light to be revealed or concealed. It depends. It depends exactly what it needs to be done. So if it's revealed, if it's more revealed, then it's more powerful. If it's less revealed, then it's less powerful. So why, he says, and that's why it's called a queen. Because what is a queen? A queen, it's a queen is an extension of the king. Through her, as is explained in Kabbalah, the wishes of the king are revealed. So it's called the queen because up here it's revealed, and then when it comes down, it's called the queen, because then it's you see Hashem where Hashem wants it to go. And from this source, Nimshach, it is drawn down l'chol echad, to each particular light and each particular thing that is suitable for it. So and this is Hashem's, this is part of creation, is that if an eye got the techuna, the power of the ear, neither the ear or the eye would work. And in fact, there may be damage. If the ear got the necessary power of the eye, who knows, it may cause damage, vice versa. So it's God who decides with the energy that comes down where it should be revealed, which thing should it extend to in this way, this particular revelation of light, that particular revelation of light, and it's called the mother. What is mother? So mother has a bunch of children, and the mother knows exactly which, just like a mother, because the mother is the source, and the mother is the vitality for each child. And each child needs a different type of mothering. So that's why it's called mother. By the way, mother in Kabbalah generally refers to Bina. Chachma is the father. Bina is where it's so Chachma is the sperm. Bina is the gestation. Chachma is the idea. Bina is the business. It's a business plan from the idea. So Bina is where it's broadened, and it's you take that idea and you intellectually you say, okay, so where am I going with this? Where am I going with this? So, but in this case, when it says so Chachma's father, Bina's mother, right? So the mother takes the sperm and does something with it. Takes this little, cc of stuff, and does a lot with it. In this case, the mother is the source of vitality for all the children, and the mother knows best, right? So, there's an interesting story of the Rebbe where somebody came to the Rebbe and said to the Rebbe, I don't understand. I probably told you the story because it resonates within me. Rebbe, I don't understand. I have one child that's such a gutinker and one child that's not good. He says, and I don't understand. I brought them up exactly the same household. And the Rebbe says, mistake one, right? You gotta know how to mother your kids, how to parent your kids. You got to know that this kid may require this, and this kid may have a lot of anxiety, therefore require that. And this kid may be an athlete, and this kid may be a bumbling, can't draw a straight line with a ruler, right? So, but a mother, that's why it's called mother, because it knows how to nurture, and it knows how to give light here and there. And the shoichem, and then it dwells and is enclosed in them l'chayusam, and that's why it's called Shechina. Shechina is God dwells. What does it mean, dwell? Dwell means revelation. So when we say that God dwells in the Beit HaMikdash, God dwells in a shul, God dwells amongst the Jewish people, God dwells here and there, etc. It means that God there's a certain revelation. So we know in the Mishnah it says that when there are 10 people together, right, the divine presence dwells more. And that's why we can say a Baruch Hu. And that's why we can say Kaddish, because the divine presence that dwells requires a Baruch Hu, a Kedusha, a Torah reading. Less than 10, it's less of a revelation. Same energy. And he says so it's a source of the world. He says, but it's also, in particular, the source of the Jewish people. And he says it's called Eim Habanim, mother of the children, Aderech Moshe, by way of example, or Knesses Yisrael. Right? The Shekhinah, another name for Shekhinah, and aside from Matronusa and Queen and this, is Knesses Yisrael, the assembly, the congregation, the community of Israel. Why? From this source, the Jewish people have emanated. He uses the word netzlu, they've emanated. The difference between netzlu and nivru, emanation and creation is much lower than emanation. Emanation is it emanates from you. Creation is it's lower than you. You've done something. So he says the Jewish souls were netzlu. They emanated from the Shekhinah. They weren't created through this Shekhinah. But rather they emanated. And of the souls of Atzilus, the souls particularly of Atzilus, and then the souls from there created souls of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiyah. See, in the world of Atzilus, there's nothing created. In the world of Atzilus comes from the word Eitzel, near, close, right? So in the world of Atzilus, and likewise the souls of Atzilus, someone like a Moses, right? They're netzal, they emanate, they're not created. So he's saying that Knesses Yisrael. So in the world of Atzilus, they emanate, and then the world of Abria, they're created, and likewise, and all of them. The world, the souls, etc., they come from this revelation and drawing down of the light that's called Shekhinah, just like the rays of the sun come from the sun orb itself, and it's really coming from its source. So and that's how he concludes today's Tanya. So basically what he's saying is, just like the energy of your soul that first sets in the brain, right? And then it is channeled to all limbs respectively to the eye so the eye can see, the ear to the ear can hear, right? And by the way, you can tell when something has less energy because when you cut a toenail, it doesn't hurt. Cut too close, it's still connected. Likewise with a hair. You cut a hair, right? It has less revelation, less the energy. But however, you pull a hair, now you're taking something from its, now you're pulling it. That's a whole different ballgame. You're ripping it from its source. So that's gonna hurt. So first in the body, it starts in the brain, then diffuses to the body, to a specific channel, specific revelation, specific energy that it needs, right? So likewise with the world, it also begins with the general flow, which is basically the intelligence of God and the Torah. And then it is contracted to each and every individual creation. And this general flow, that is what's called Shekhinah. That's what's called Queen. That's what's called, the other words, Amadiskalia, etc., and Knesset Yisrael. That's the name for that general flow before it actually is drawn down. So there's a general flow, and you draw it down. And once again, the goal is to draw it down to as low as you can to make this world a godly place. And then when you do that, you ascend with it, with the godly area, you ascend up into God's shelter and God's shadow. So that is so that is Shekhinah. So Shekhinah is the beginning of the revelation. So there's God completely concealed, and there's Shekhinah, where godliness is beginning, the source of revelation. And that's how he explains what Shekhinah is. So we always hear about Shekhinah. Interesting to note, by the way, Shekhinah is feminine. Torah is feminine. Shekhinah is feminine, right? Neshama is feminine. So there's a lot of these qualities have feminine attributes to them, and that's why they're called by the feminine name. So it's not Torah, it's Torah, right? Or it's not Torah, it's Torah, which I find interesting as to why. Chances are is that God is the masculine and the Shekhinah is the feminine. Shekhinah is the one that reveals things, as we discussed. And likewise, Neshama is a revelation. It takes this energy, compacted energy. Sorry?
Giving. Women give. They give birth. The woman delivers the birth. The woman is the deliverer. So she gives the birth. So when she gives the birth, she's the Shekhinah. She's right before, right? On the 10 spirits of the spirits is the Shekhinah is above, right? Which is like the space where it is where the woman is inside the womb. Right? Yeah.
Right. No, it makes sense. I'm essentially saying the same thing.
So she's holding it, and that's why it's feminine, because the feminine is a giver, as a nurturer, is different, than the male. The whole instinctive is and also the Shekhinah is a Torah. It's flowing through into you. You understand what I'm saying? And a male doesn't do that.
Right. Yeah, 100% right. I agree with you. So that's how he concludes the Tanya. Any questions from anybody?
Rabbi, the idea that the Shekhinah went into exile in Egypt with the Jews, right?
It went into exile, Jews. It came out of exile, and it went into exile when the temple was destroyed. Right. So that concentrated form, right, is when it went into exile. So that's one of the reasons the rabbis said, okay, we have to build synagogues so that way they can tap into this godliness. Otherwise, they're going to lose it. Right. And then along comes COVID and kicks us out of the synagogue. Right. And then along comes Como, also CO, and and says you can go back to synagogue. So let's see what happens.
Right. Okay.
Rabbi, during your lecture, you were speaking about 10, okay? Now, of course, we need 10 to say Kaddish, but
Yeah.
in these times, what's your take on saying Kaddish
So
without opinion?
okay. So what I've done for people is that I've arranged minions in South Africa, they have a legal minion where they've all been quarantined for months in a nursing home. They saw it coming. In Israel, there's a couple of legal minions they were quarantined in a hotel. And they decided for the benefit of the Jewish people, they'll stay quarantined and have a legal minion. So people have been sending their names. I've been doing that a lot, sending the names there to say Kaddish. However, when there's a threat to one's life, Kaddish is way down on the totem pole, right? So then we take a look at Code of Jewish Law. The Code of Jewish Law says that while Kaddish is important, more important is to do good things in honor of the person. So if we're stuck and we can't say Kaddish, it's just impossible to say Kaddish, then at the very least, let us take the next thing, and that is to do good things in honor of the person. But saying a few Aramaic words, that's not going to make or break the soul. The Kaddish is your recognition that God is great. Your recognition that you don't have bad feelings to God. And through that helps elevate the soul. However, in a case where it's dangerous to your life, right? Stop. Don't say Kaddish. Just don't say it. And no harm, no foul. Substitute it with something else that's good, that you can do in honor of a loved one.
So if you're davening and you can't get a minyan together for the upcoming Yom Tov, when it comes to saying Kaddish, you're saying skip that part of the service when you're davening out by yourself.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, there are plenty of people I know who say it, and I'm not going to fault them for saying it. But if you're asking me a direct question, yeah, Kaddish should be said with the minyan. So therefore, you skip that part of the service, and it's okay. This is COVID-19. You know, this is unusual circumstances. You're not being a scofflaw. You're trying to save your life, which is a mitzvah. So you're occupied in doing a mitzvah. You know that when the shluchim, Lubavitcher emissaries, when they first went out to the field, to places that there was no chance of getting a minyan, right? Or even places with a chance of getting a minyan, but not every minyan, etc., 3 times a day. The Rebbe told the shluchim that they don't have to drive 45 minutes, an hour to find a minyan and say Kaddish for their loved one. The Rebbe said that it's more important that you study with a Jew and help a Jew and you do mitzvahs in your place of shlichus than run from Dix Hills to Queens to find a minyan. That's what the Rebbe's answer was. There are priorities. And your priority right now is not to run to every minyan, especially if it's in your backyard, yes. But if it's going to take away from your workday to the point where you will be less effective and we won't be doing what a shliach does, then that takes second fiddle.
Why did the Satmars take a different position than the Lubavitch?
I have no idea.
I'm saying as far as like the outreach part, like when I spoke to someone before, he told me it's different. He goes, that's not our job.